Thank you, and welcome to A Little Off the Top. My name is Chef Charles of Black Folk Food. This is Julian Greene of Ubora, Barber, and Beauty. We're going to be your hosts tonight for this conversation. This conversation stemmed from online. I had a Facebook post dealing with this topic, and it got a lot of traction. So much traction that the two panelists beside me were introduced to me in that way. Well, not one of them, but this one beside me. We're going to dive deep into this conversation. I'm really, really excited about having it with these gentlemen. And welcome to A Little Bit Off Top, a community conversation about integration in Black America. What do we gain? What do we lose? For generations, some of the most important conversations in Black America have taken place in churches, around dinner tables, or in front of porches and inside of barbershops. Tonight, we continue in that tradition. Integration remains one of the most significant social transformations in American history. While it opened the doors and expanded opportunities, many continue to question impact on Black institutions, businesses, schools, neighborhoods, and our cultural identity. Our goal is not to determine a winner or a loser. Our goal is to create a space for thoughtful dialogue, respectful disagreement, and deeper understanding. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, I'm going to introduce my panel. Like I said earlier, these gentlemen are well versed in this topic. They're willing to come and speak candidly about it. Some have lived through integration. Some are products of integration, but we're going to have an honest conversation tonight. To my right, I'm going to introduce Dr. Doron Battle Sr. He's an educator, a mentor, a community leader, and Dr. Battle has dedicated his career to serving students, families, and communities while helping shape outcomes for future generations through education and leadership. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Battle.
I'm Dr. Doron Battle. I'm currently working in Richmond Public Schools. I often say God made me for children, mostly inner city Black children. I say that, I champion that, just because I am just that, an inner city Black child. And so the bulk of my work is just for those people, those babies that's kind of lost in the wilderness, for lack of better expression, in hopes that I'll be a guiding light for them.
Awesome. To my left, your right, we have Dr. Marvin Gilliam Sr. Some perspectives cannot be learned from a textbook. They're earned through decades of lived experience, leadership, service, and commitment to community. Dr. Gilliam represents a generation whose firsthand experience spans many of our social, cultural, and institutional changes that continue to shape Black America today. His perspective is rooted in faith, family, community, and a lifetime of witnessing both progress and challenges across generations. Dr. Gilliam, Unc, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Marvin Gilliam. As I said, I'm the youngest of 10 children. I'm a retired funeral director and embalmer for 40 plus years. Also, I'm a retired minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I have a great concern for the Black youth of this time. And we need to spend more time in learning more about ourselves than someone else.
Awesome. To my left, he's my barber. He's the owner of this establishment. He's Julian Greene. He's a people's barber. Julian has spent years cultivating Ubora Barber and Beauty as more than just a barbershop, creating a gathering place for community culture, mentorship, and meaningful conversations. Tell us about yourself, Julian.
Oh man, you did a great job. And actually, before I tell people about myself, I just noticed he had his hat on, so maybe I didn't do a good job.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I got to cover you.
But yeah, man. First of all, I'm honored to be a part of this project. Like you said, my name is Julian Greene. I'm from Petersburg, Virginia. Our shop is located on the south side of Richmond, Virginia. North Chesterfield is considered now. And like you said, we would often have so many conversations in the chair. When he's come to get his barber service, and we just thought about kind of expanding those conversations into more or less a community effort. So here we are now. We pulled up, as you can see, we rearranged the shop, pulled up some chairs, and asked some people to come by, and here we are. So definitely looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, bro. And I'm Charles Robinson, Chef Charles of Black Folk Food. Classically trained chef, community organizer, spoken word artist, MC, poet, artist, rapper, actor, activist, all of the things. And tonight I'm gonna be your host in leading this conversation. So we're gonna jump right into it. We're not gonna hold any punches tonight. We're gonna have a very, very honest conversation about Black integration. Where did we gain? What did we lose? And yeah, let's get this thing started. I'm gonna field this question. Oh, let me before I get into this. I know we got two doctors beside us. These gentlemen have worked very, very hard to get that DR in front of their names, and we respect them as such. But here inside the barbershop, we just gonna call them by their names because that's what we do. Inside Black barbershops, when you walk in the door, we're all equal. You can be a janitor, a minister, a pastor, whatever it is. When you walk into the barbershop, you just one of us. So, Doron, I'm gonna field this question to you first, brother. What did integration make possible for Black Americans?
I think before integration, we didn't know what was possible if we had equal playing field. So I do think that by us being able to be in the spaces with white Americans, I think that we learned that anything is possible because I would say that before that, we just didn't know that. I would also say in the entertainment business, which for our people is probably one of the leading industries for us,
Right.
It made all things possible because Muddy Waters never really got its just due. You know what I mean? And so because Muddy Waters didn't, you get artists and the likes of Sam Cooke who could because he integrated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so his talent was able to be seen globally and not just on the chitlin circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's one thing that we did gain is like access to the rest of the country for our talents.
Awesome. Onk, same question.
I listened to you and I'm a little bit concerned about that answer, just a little bit, because integration created a falsehood for us as a people. It's designed to make people think that we are equal.
For sure.
But in reality, we're not equal in their eyesight. So we have to look at that fact that we didn't have full access, even though it said integration. We didn't have full access.
Yes,
so
sir.
they had their own way of doing things.
Smoke and mirror.
Smoke and mirror. That's the bottom line. And I'm going to hit some other things a little bit later on as to the falsehood. We'll get into the education part of this talk.
Yeah.
So your perspective, just piggybacking off what Doron's saying, you're saying that, you know, with integration and gaining access to certain platforms, to certain communities, you're coming from a perspective of like, yes, we might have had access, but it was never equal access to those things. So even though it was, it was presented that way in play, it didn't play out in that.
Exactly.
Okay.
You get it right on the nose.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
And I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're here to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you talk about what did we gain, and you say you speak on the entertainment industry, like you said, you don't have a Muddy Waters, and then we get a Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, somebody who's a billionaire. You know, you don't get whose talent doesn't supersede, you know, a Muddy Waters, but he has access to certain things that give him that platform in that respect.
Yeah, that's why I answered it that way. What did we gain? Access. Not so much what the smoke and mirror is, but we did gain access.
Right.
We had artists, or we had individuals rather, who, you know, would not have been able to do these things without integration. And I mean, we could say, I would even say Barack Obama. This might sound crazy, right? But like, if you take Barack Obama in 1945, he has no chance. You understand what I'm saying? I would say 1975.
Right.
He had no chance. You know, and
So you're saying that our people couldn't make it unless we had integration?
No. Yes, I'm saying our people wouldn't have those opportunities because we were never afforded the opportunity to make the rules. We never made the rules. We simply had to play by them. So if you wanted to be the president of the United States of America,
Yeah.
if you wanted to be a global charting artist, you never had the opportunity to do that because we don't make the rules.
Heard.
And so integration gave us an opportunity to play by their rules. Now, did we get tricked in the process? I really do believe so.
That part.
Yeah, we got tricked really bad.
I can't remember the name of the doctor. But it was a movie about it. It was called, I believe it was called Something That God Made, and Mos Def played the character. And the main purpose of the movie was, or the main focus was something about a blue baby. But they brought Mos Def's character in, as a doctor, and he ended up saving the baby. I can't remember.
I know what the movie talking about. Yeah.
But it's like they took all of his expertise and ran with it, and in the meanwhile, he was still like a visitor at the table.
Right.
Right. So it's kind of like, sometimes we get in those doors, or I hate to say that they allow us at those tables or those doors, but they still take the information. And it's kind of that's all it is.
There's no secret.
Yeah, it's no secret.
What I think that piggybacks into like what we're, the next conversation piece, and it's like what institutions, what businesses, and what traditions were strengthened by integration.
I would say that one. I would say the entertainment business solely because it gave us access.
Mm-hmm.
I will also equally say the political industry because it gave us, for lack of better expression, a seat at the table and some representation. But honestly, outside of that, I can't say any.
So you say entertainment, politics. That's kind of where it stops as far as.
Yeah, and I would group sports and entertainment because I think all of it's WWE.
Yeah.
Scripted.
But but outside of that, like in my research at least, I don't see the benefit of it.
But I think that's powerful what you just said. Where you said in my research of.
Yeah.
But integration, I mean, you have to ask yourself the question: was it true integration? Because it gave us access to go into other stores and businesses. But the problem lies is that the people we're integrating with didn't come over to our side.
Correct.
So therefore, a lot of black businesses was destroyed through integration because we as a black people thought we were getting something better.
Yep.
And that's our mindset. And we have to change our mindset to think that what other folks do is better than what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, I say, and this is, I'll speak a lot from my research, yes, but also just what I know to be true culturally. We set the tone culturally.
Yeah.
In America, in the world, really.
Culture's our commodity,
It
actually.
is. And so oftentimes we, like Monk said, we'll give up our superpower to be amongst others. And it's like, well, but to be fair, and I said this earlier off camera, all we knew was what we knew.
Right.
So we never knew that. I'm gonna just say Pauline, who had the seamstress shop, was the best tailor around. But because you also went to church with Pauline and you taught her children, and you didn't see her for what she really was. You wanted to see what Suzanne could do over the white tailor could do, the white seamstress,
Right.
And so then you say, well, I got mine from Suzanne, not Pauline, as if it was some elitist type deal. And so that's why I say not much.
But we were successful people. We started talking about, I'm sure you heard of Black Wall Street.
Sure.
Everything that we did, I mean, we were doing an excellent job in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'll say Jackson Ward.
Yeah.
Petersburg.
Yeah. But I didn't know about Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, but they didn't like what was going on. So what did they do? Burn it down to the ground.
Yep.
So we have to remember what took place there. And I think sometimes we have a problem in doing that.
It's interesting. I think that sometimes, like you said, we want access in these different worlds and whatnot. And, they'll welcome you in. They'll strip away your everything.
Your identity.
And then it's kind of like, well, we never wanted you here no way. So, okay. Boom, we go to, like you said, we can start our Black Wall Streets and our, affluent neighborhoods and whatnot. And the whole time, you got all this going on over here. They're over there. They're like, hold on, what's all that noise over back here? Let's go over there and see what they're doing. oh, I don't like all this. They're having too much fun. They get too much accomplished. Let's burn it down. And so you just continue to just,
Destroy.
what's that?
Destroy.
And you're still trying to find your leverage or your foot in. So you think that you have to still kind of play up to said cultures and said people to still have access and leverage to benefit yourself. But truth be told, man, I don't want to say the short answer. I just, for lack of a better way to say it, continue to build your own table.
Yeah, I think Unc, you said a mean piece when you talked about what integration actually is. Integration is when two or more cultures come together and they meld within one another. You know what I mean? We come in, we give and we take from one another our cultures, our monies, our expertise, and all of that kind of stuff. I heard one brother say on a different podcast about this certain topic. He said we didn't have black integration; we had black migration.
I was going to say that. You took words right out of my
Yeah,
mouth.
it was a migration. We because white folk didn't come into our neighborhoods and come see the black dentist. You know what I mean? Like they didn't come into and come to the black schools. They didn't come to the black grocery stores. We went into their institutions and still were treated unfairly. But the fact that we could go made us feel like their things were better than ours. It's almost it's just like it's capitalism at its best. It's like when I make something exclusive, and I take it from you, you want it even more. And I think that's what our people fell victim to unknowingly walking into integration, thinking they were getting something that they didn't have access to, and treating it like it was better than what we actually built on our own. I think that kind of leads to our next conversation, and we kind of hit on it as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there so we just talk more boldly on it. What institutions, what business, what traditions were weakened and lost because of integration?
I would 100% say. I would 100% say school.
Mm.
As someone who I believe in public education, like with every fiber in me, right? But I would say education solely because oftentimes our children don't feel seen in school. And it's because we don't get to make what school most represent for our culture. Right? And so a lot of times our kids, we always had to do the reading, the writing, all those things. But like, and this is in my own research for high school dropouts, right? Children typically drop out, it's most times because of something social, not because it works hard, right? Because all you ever know as a child is to go to school. That's all you ever. That's your only job. So it's something social. But even before there was ever labeled a dropout, people would not go to school because they took up the trade of roofing. They took up the trade of carpentry, of plumbing, of or I'm just going to listen to the military and the government will take care of me or whatever it is. But you won't label. Now it's like taboo to not go to school because we don't get to write the rules anymore. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I may have never been a strong reader, but I'm really good with my hands. And I'm 15, and I'm an able body, and I could go with Unc, and Unc has a roofing company, right? And so Unc has a profitable roofing company, and I don't do good at school anyway, so I'm going to go
make some money.
make some money. And so now my mom don't have to do as much, or my dad don't have to work as hard, and I can go bring some bacon home with him. You know what I mean? And so I 100% would say school.
That's a great one. What about you? How do you feel? What institutions, what business traditions, what was lost?
The black business. Mainly the black business, because like you said, but migration, it was not true integration, it was true migration. And people actually left the black business. You're a black business owner. You have to deal with one side of the market. As working as a funeral director and embalmer, I work with a black funeral home. But during that integration process, it's still a problem because the other folks won't come over to us. We'll go over to them and then start strutting and think we're doing something. And we're not doing anything. It's just turning us apart. You know? And you said something as far as school concerned. School was affected a great deal through integration because I'm a live product of integration. I went to a segregated elementary school, where they taught us the best A, B's, and C's and what have you. But when I went to the high school, I had a different concept of what school was about, because I had this teacher of a lighter hue in the front of the class, but her heart was not for us.
Yeah.
And so we had a thing called social promotion. You ever heard of social promotion?
Yep.
People were being promoted, but they didn't know a lot because they weren't taught properly by the other people. And we have to look at that, because I'm a product even of that. Because when I graduated from high school, and I don't know if I put it on camera or not, but I had to take 0 writing, 0 reading, and 0 English when I went to college.
Yeah.
So I had to ask myself a question. What did I learn in high school?
Yep.
And why was I promoted?
You see that right now.
Yeah, and I'm fighting, trying to,
Yeah.
learn how to catch up, because I was way behind. And I didn't want that to happen to my kids, and my kids, I made sure that they, sit down and do what they had to do. But I thought I was, as a teenager, I thought I was getting over.
Yeah.
I learned, it's sad to say, but I learned how to play chess in school, in the classroom, while the class was going on. But I ended up paying for it down the road.
Yeah.
So we have to really take a look at that,
Yeah. That's why I say That's why I say school, because if you, like I was telling you about the project I did in my studies, the guy graduated high school in 1961, right? And he's like, look, the teacher would not allow you to play chess in class,
Right.
because she knew that when you presented yourself to the world as Black American, African American in 1961, the standard was the standard. You know what I'm saying?
Standard was very high.
Yeah.
It'd be twice as better,
Yeah.
twice as good, twice as everything. But we don't have that name.
We stripped we gave it away with integration, because now my teacher no longer has the ability to hold me to that standard, because I don't make the rules anymore.
Right.
And you hear me say that throughout the night. We don't make the rules, so we don't get a chance to implement or implicate any of the rules, because we don't make the rules. Then we just say, oh, that's just how it is. Versus back then we could control the narrative.
And we're asking for rules to make the rules now. So there's a lot of polite asks.
And the other thing is with business, and I told y'all earlier this, at Armstrong High School in 1961 in the yearbook, and I had a pleasure of seeing this yearbook from 1961. It was beautiful, all color. They had 35 pages of patrons from Black businesses.
Wow.
Which is wow. It's like 4 of them per page. So that's how many businesses we really had in the community that would say, oh, I see you, right?
So
hey, Mr. Gilliam, hey, here's $5, here's $10, to give you a better chance at what it is that the children needed.
That book was hope.
No, for sure.
It was hope.
For sure.
So you're saying, what I'm hearing is schools, we lost our ability to control our education. In turn, because of the migration, we lost our ability to sustain our Black businesses in our own communities. And it's affected kind of where we're at today with where we are with our kids in integrated schools and with our businesses amongst integrated communities. I think that's a strong point. I think I'm also a business owner, and the name of my company is Black Folk Food, and I wanted to make sure that my people and my voice was represented in my food and my culture. But at the same time, I also know that there are going to be people who don't click on my website because it says Black Folk Food. But we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem with going and say, I want Mexican food tonight. We don't have a problem saying I want Chinese food tonight. But if somebody walks in and says I want some Black folk food, and it's kind of like, what is that? Or what, there's tension there. So, and that's the reason why I named the company that. Just talking about business in general. Thank y'all for that. I think that's a very, very strong point. I think we kind of hit on this too, but I kind of want to go deeper into it. How did integration impact the Black schools and the education system?
My answer would be the same. I think that there is a child in America who benefits benefited or will benefit greatly from going to the University of Virginia, right? Or Cornell or whatever, right? And their trajectory, in theory, will be slightly higher because they did go to a UVA engineering program, and it'll be all things green, right? And so from that lens, because it's not one box,
Right.
You know what I mean? I do think that it's also not a catch-all. I do think that some people did benefit from it,
Right.
or will benefit from it. But I think the greater good of the people, like I said previously, just didn't as much.
But you said that they're going to a white school. They're doing better.
No, it's not that.
On that.
I don't think that it's better. I think that because the reach of a University of Virginia's engineering program with the likes of Thomas Jefferson, who built a quarter of the country or a quarter of the southeast region, right?
Black slaves, right?
Well, yes, but the facts are the facts, right? I think that on paper, because again, we don't write these rules on paper. If it says University of Virginia versus North Carolina A&T, it look a little different.
There's a level of,
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that A&T isn't on UVA's level. I'm just saying on paper, because
So in order to make it, you're saying that we got to attend these, have a greater reach. We got to attend these white institutions.
no, I didn't say that. I'm saying that someone benefited from it. Now, there's also going to be someone from A&T who's going to make it as far because that's their fate. You know what I mean? But I'm saying on paper, if you're going to Brockenborough, I don't know, just pick a white name, right? Brockenborough and Company, and all they have on you is your paperwork, and you're Marvin Gilliam, and I'm Michael Gilliam, and mine say UVA, and yours say A&T. The person who went to Virginia Tech, who's the hiring officer,
Who get the job?
that's all I'm saying.
yeah.
And
You saying this good?
I'm saying that someone benefited from it.
That's just a societal
Yeah, that's
perspective.
just-
Overall, we heard ourselves in that type of thinking. That thing.
Yeah.
I think we need to focus on black institutions, hands down.
Mhm.
And I know it's going to be hard. So if we don't make the sacrifice for ourselves, then who will?
Yeah, I think just in relation to that particular question, that's where that answer comes from. Just from, I guess the quote unquote playing field, or what you just said, the reach that would you call it a PWI?
Yeah.
PWI
yeah.
has compared to an HBCU. But I agree with what you said in terms of, I don't want to say where your focus should be, but the most relatable. I went to HBCU, I went to Virginia State, and I wouldn't change that.
Me too. Yeah.
Oh well, so I wouldn't change that experience. Yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The relatability, the camaraderie, say something crazy, but even when you have a party, the sweat smells different.
Right.
It's just the overall. It's a great experience.
Took you back.
You thought about it. But, say you didn't have your meal card when you went to the this is completely
Yeah. No, you're right. No. Go.
The people there still
They sing you.
they
They was gonna feed you. You was gonna eat.
You come on, get this
Make
plate.
sure you're good.
Yeah, come on, get this plate. It wasn't just I'm sorry, Mr. Greene. They probably didn't even know your name. My name is Brown. I mean Greene. Sorry, Mr. Brown. We don't have it. Man, my name is Greene.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of things with that relatability and that cultural, I guess you could say, camaraderie and alliance that
But
goes
it's
with
also, I will ask you all, because I don't know, right? Because we gave up so much in integration. If I am an engineer major and I'm looking for a black engineering firm that's going to be right, like I almost have to present myself to the white social structure of engineering. You know what I mean? In order for me to be the engineer that I feel like I could be or aspire to be.
So you're saying that the white institution is better than our.
I'm not using the word better.
Let me jump in right here, and I think we're gonna stay here for a little second. I think we saw this play out in like early 2020, 21, with Deion Sanders.
I was just about to say that.
So we saw someone who benefited from going to a PWI, a poor black kid, father wasn't around, you know what I mean? Single mother household, you know, make it off his athletic ability, go to a Florida State, you got an opportunity to go to, because of integration, got an opportunity to go to Florida State University. He could have went to FAMU. He had, you know what I mean? He could have went anywhere, but he got an opportunity to go to Florida State University, and he turned that into a Hall of Fame football career. He had sons, and when it was time for him to send his sons to an institution, they went to Jackson State. He then took the number one recruit in the nation, not the number one black recruit, not the number one top receiver, not the number one quarterback, but the number one overall recruit in the nation to Jackson State with him. So then we saw a shift in black people's mindset. That was the first time I actually seen us have a shift in our thinking of we need to send our athletes, and this goes back to what you're saying, where we own entertainment, you know what I mean? We need to send our athletes to these institutions, these black institutions, to build them up. Because now with NIL money, now with all of these things, we're now funneling all of these resources back into our universities, right? So I think that's when like, just to piggyback on what you're saying, when he got up and left and went to Colorado, you saw a lot of black people call him a traitor, a coon, and all of these things because he went to a Colorado, another PWI, to finish out his career. Now, what that did for his kids was put them in a different light, against
not a better light.
Not a better light. A different light, more light, I would say, and against I would have to say this, better competition because of the way the structure is presented, right?
They get to write the rules,
right? However, but what we didn't talk about, or what Deion didn't talk about, is his time in Jackson State when his car was getting broken into, when his watch that he left on his desk would get stolen while he was there, and he wasn't having those issues at
water crisis.
When it was a water crisis and those things weren't getting addressed. So I think sometimes when we think about these PWIs or we think about white institutions, they've had so much more time to get their processes in place. And then when we integrate into them, we get the immediate benefit of it versus building up our own institutions when we're sending our best and our brightest into those institutions instead of building up our own, and we don't have the same leverage. So just like you said, we need to focus on building those things. And just like you're saying, there is a kid that benefits from it as well. I think that's very, very, very poignant. And I'm ready to let's just
before you go.
Yeah.
So, you know, if I go to this particular school, I don't have to build up anything. I can just get what I need and be off to the right, go into business. Where over here, I got to deal with building up. I got to deal with whatever comes and sidetracks my vision and my efforts. So sometimes it's about, you know, the fast track as opposed to the scenic route. So.
I think there are lessons to be learned throughout all of this. Mm-hmm. There's a conversation to be had, and just like you were saying, like we have to pay this thing forward. We have to have these conversations, these hard conversations now, so that people in front of us, you know, or come behind us, I should say, benefit from it. What lessons can the future generations learn with this history?
I think the young people need to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, and I use that just because that's just a cultural thing, right? I think that it's okay to just be your black self, and I think that it's most important to be your most black self in white spaces, unapologetically. Mm-hmm. Because whether you shuck and jive or you show up as you are who you are, the word they're gonna call you.
Yeah.
Either way, it don't matter if you go. And I'm gonna use a cultural reference, and the people that watch will understand. You could be Carlton Banks or Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
right? And Kanye West said,
I was just thinking that.
Still a nigga in a coupe.
You know what I mean? And so I think that it's most important for them to show up as they are and who they are. But I also think that it's important for us to see the beauty in black stuff the same way we see the beauty in white stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this: the kids from Jackson State, if a lot of those kids were at Colorado with their talent, they would have gotten a call from the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they didn't because they went to Jackson State.
Right.
And I think that we also need to be okay with that to some degree. Maybe not Travis and maybe not Shador, because they are and will be the exception always.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's some kid who left there and be gainfully employed with a Jackson State University degree, and live a life of leisure and profit well off of his talents, whether it's his brain or his body, with just down on the sword that I did something what's best for me culturally. And I think that's where you. I think that's
still a win. Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
In all actuality, I think we put too much focus on other people. It's like, if you want something, that's your path. I think we put a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some times when you're going to have to sit at the table to get legislation and policy and understand rules and regulations, zoning and whatnot, to find out how to best put your piece of the chessboard. But this thing of external approval or exception or whatever, it's like I think we put too much effort into it. Whether it's labels, whether it's the neighborhood we live in, whether it's again the clothes we wear, even celebration like let's go out for Cinco de Mayo. Man, listen, yeah, I mean it's sometimes it can be to the extreme. I ain't never seen a Chinese person with a dashiki on.
Yeah.
But we're always ready to celebrate somebody else rather than really locking into the beautiful culture that we have. Chinese tattoos, you don't know what that means.
Right.
It can mean chicken bone on your
arm. I got one on my back. Washing Machine Junior.
Yeah, Washing Machine Junior. But we got so many beautiful Adinkra symbols in our culture. Just so much beautiful, just everything. I think that sometimes, again, because I can ramble about this for a long time, but I think we just need to have a really close look at our own culture that they take from us and sell it right back to you, and we lap it up like you said, like it's the best thing on earth. When the whole time it's yours to begin with. So I don't know.
We set the trends, man.
We set the trends.
A friend of mine, I got a chance to go see him play basketball, and I got to see 3 countries in like 7 days. Right? He was in Athens, Greece. I went to Tel Aviv, Israel, and then I went to London. And all of those places, right? You know who they played? Chris Brown and Lil Baby. You know what I mean? And like the nightlife. All of those places in that little scene or sector of life where somebody feeds their family well, it was us. We set the trends. You know what I mean? And so,
know that.
we need to know that.
And you know what? I never knew.
Integration was not good, and that's what the young folks need.
Well, that's what I kind of wrote this question for you, because the lessons we can speak from our experiences and our research. You know what it is. So what lessons do you think we need to implement today so that people know what's going on with this history?
I think they need to learn more about themselves. Make a real effort to do so. And if we do that, then there's a book I read when I was.
That was a long time ago.
That was last week.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I was feeling bad about our people because we weren't supporting our people, and I was in this black bookstore, playing this black business, and the guy saw me and said, "Why are you looking so sad?" I said, "I don't understand our people.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be supporting one another." He picked up a book called The Barber of the Black Race.
Mm-hmm.
And that book really intrigued my soul.
I'm sorry, what was it called again? Just
The Bible Legacy of the Black Race.
The Bible Legacy of the Black Race.
Yeah, George Andrews, author of it. And I think that would put you or the people, our black people, in a perspective of who they are as a people. Be proud of it.
So just more cultural, just gaining more
Awareness.
knowledge of self.
Yeah, more cultural awareness. Because look, we know that. I'm not getting to that. That's a whole other lesson. But we just need to know who we are as a people.
But once you know who you are, I mean, it exudes out, and I mean, you can go from there and spread out and feed your community and educate your community.
You wouldn't go out and shoot your brother.
Right, right.
You really knew who you were.
Yeah.
But you lost.
Did you know that? I just found this out recently. I mean, I've always heard of DAP, but did you know that like DAP is still for dignity and pride?
Mm-hmm. I found that out.
I just found that out.
Give me that.
It was
Vietnam.
In Vietnam. Yep. Yep. So it's like when you saw your brother out there in the same trenches as you, it's like give each other DAP. It's like, hey,
that's where it comes from. Instead of a handshake.
It's crazy because I worked in juvenile prison down in Goochland, Oman Juvenile Correction Center. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would always tell the dudes, I would always tell the little young fellas, they beefing with each other. One might be Blood, Crip, whatever, Norfolk, Richmond, 434, whatever. And I say, listen, if I were to get you two in a room, which with the 5 people you love the most, I guarantee you that you would have more in common than you would uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning your favorite food, and even if my favorite food isn't your favorite food culturally, you would like my favorite food. Right. So I might be a fried fish guy, and you're a fried chicken guy, and we can have both.
Yeah.
But chicken because I'm a pastor.
No, I'm just saying that that's just black. That's just black.
It's in the same spot. Yeah, it's in the same spot. Yeah.
But I'm saying. But I'm saying we would end someone's life. We would end someone's existence, someone's trajectory in life, because you don't like what he do with his fingers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you don't like where he grew up. Yeah. So you will kill him.
Yeah.
You'll end him.
And I've actually seen that I'm sure. My 50 years, I've seen so much of that.
It's like, man, you two will probably be best friends. Yeah.
I think this is a great place to kind of talk about, we talk about what history, what should that generation know about where we are. I think this question kind of leads us into our Q&A as well. What is self-determination look like today, and what do we do moving forward while being integrated?
It is.
I think that is way too much information for us not to know who we are and where we are. Like, this is literally the information generation, right? Meaning I have a computer to the right of me. I can pick up that thing and it's going to tell me whatever it is that I want. I was telling you earlier, I believe in telling our kids the truth. This is the truth, right? You could do high school wrong so long as you finish, right? If you still aspire to be a dentist, you could be that so long as you finish, right? So long as you play by some of the rules of society, you got a fighting chance out here.
There's a lot of D+ students. Yeah.
It's also never a better time to get in a bunch of trouble and come out and make a decent life for yourself.
Right.
Now, in segregation, if you did get that F on your record, it might have been a little hard on you. Right. Or even just out of segregation in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was hard on people who made a mistake or got accused of making a mistake and coming out and making a decent living for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now it's no better time than now to just figure out what it is that I aspire to be, what's the best route to take, not the quickest, right? And how do I get there?
Yeah.
And then from there, you can't have some interest in something if you're not willing to work towards it.
What about you, Unc? What do you think?
You said it all. Self-determination, doing what you want, doing what you got to do to know who you are as a person. That's the main thing. We focus on that. Focus on who we are as a people.
I think that what both of you guys said was accurate. You said something earlier about knowing who we are. So after you know who you are, then you can go out and be self-determined on to get where you're trying to get to. And you said in reference to integration, sometimes it's like the Robin Hood thing. Sometimes you got to go sit at these tables, get the information, the resources, come back, distribute it through your community. So it's that's the problem. We're not coming back to the
That's the problem.
Have you all ever read or seen the movie The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
No.
Yeah, I
Have you
know
ever seen that?
Sidney Poitier.
Listen, The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube gives it to you for free, but it's also a book. I like the book a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, somatically, it might like engage you a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, to your point,
Mm-hmm.
he was a CIA agent. He was a top of his class from Howard or Hampton or Howard, and he was killing the CIA stuff. Like he was like head of heads, and all of the guys would give each other dap, and they would go out and run the street, and he always sat back. And because he did, he was also a very good swimmer, which made them look at him different.
Right.
Because culturally they say we can't swim. They never talk about the bleaching our pools.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, he moved his way up, and then he walked away from it. He moved back to, I believe, Detroit or maybe Chicago, Milwaukee, one of those Midwest towns. And everything that he had learned from the CIA, he had started a militia, right? And he started wreaking havoc in his community. Now, I ain't really a fan of that part of the movie, but I understand
But you understand what he was doing. Yeah.
And they had no remedy for it because innately he had something that they just didn't have because God gave us something that they didn't give them. Right? And he was hell, y'all. Excuse my expression. But he had taken all of what he had learned and given it back to the people, empowered his people, and of course, the person that told on him was one of us.
Yeah, I think that's you hit it on the head when you said we're not doing that. We're not. Julie, you said to say we got to go back. We got to take what they do and what we learn and bring it back to the people. And you said we're not doing that. We talk about Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois all the time and the talented 10th. And his goal was to, okay, we're gonna take a 10th, the 10th, go out, do what you gotta do, and come back and teach the rest. And even in integration, when all of us had an opportunity to be the 10th, we got what they got and just moved into their neighborhoods. Yeah, gate kept it. And we sat back and look at y'all like y'all could do the same thing. Why aren't you doing it?
Looking down.
Yeah. Instead of reaching back and saying, let me go back and let me move back into grandma's house.
You know why? Because a lot of times we fumble by wanting to be so accepting of everybody. What I mean by that? Because every time you turn around, how many times you look on your social media and you see somebody, you're trying to introduce your food, your cuisine to somebody else. And they take a bite of the chicken, they slap the plate, they march it all around, they happy, greasy mouth. But at the end of the day, it's like, man, you invited to the cookout. Why? Because he can keep a beat.
Right.
It don't make sense. So he's going to come to the cookout. He's going to find out, when you turn around, he's looking at everybody at the cookout. He's looking at your pattern. He's looking at grandma's house. He's surveying the land. He's looking at the zoning. You know what? He's not just eating at that cookout. He's digesting everything that we bring to the table. So sometimes it's not so much about you're invited to the cookout. Nah, man, don't come to the cookout because they're going to bite off more than what you want them to chew. So it's like, and with that, we like you said, we go to these other tables, maybe, and we don't. I don't know. Sometimes we can just be kind of accepting of everything when there's no need.
Well, I think that we're communal people. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
and at the same time, we want to be, through integration or through whatever it is, we want to make sure everybody's good. Just like you were saying earlier, when you go to school and you get that you might not have your meal ticket, but somebody gonna make sure you eat. We're like that just in general. You know what I mean? So anybody who we see in need of, we want to make sure that we're fulfilling a need. That's us as people.
I am a product of an all-black high school. I graduated from Carver in Chester. And I was listening to something that my brother said about going to Virginia State and taking those zero English classes. Well, I didn't have to take them because I had good teachers. I mean, smart teachers. Now, the one thing that bothered me with segregation was the fact that we were told we could not do this. You can't go this place. You can't be there. But our parents never treated us as if we were, something was going on with us. We felt like it was them.
Right.
And the other thing that started this educational thing, going from one high school to the school that my brother graduated from, it's us. We created that. because we felt like, okay, there were seven high schools in Chesterfield at the time. We only had one black high school in all of Chesterfield. Y'all know how big Chesterfield is. So that means that we came from all areas of the county. Well, we had a certain section of Chesterfield that did not feel like they wanted to come to Carver because it was in the country. And see, that's what bothers me about us. We have to get to the point where we love and respect each other. Not knowing what was going on at Carver, just assumed that because it was in the country, those kids didn't know anything. So they wanted to integrate the high schools, and that went through all of the changes that we went through. And the parents, I chose not to go because I love my school and I love my teachers. I mean, they were hard on us. You couldn't play chess in my school. And one of my teachers said, no, they taking prayer out of school. She said, but they didn't take it out of my classroom. And I mean, that's the kind of background that I came from. It made all the difference in the world. And I get frustrated when I see the children nowadays. They just assume that everything was like, has been this way all along, and it has not been.
Because they haven't been taught.
They have not been taught, and that's part of our fault. We as parents need to make sure our kids get the right background. And I stayed on my kids.
I was taught.
Because I didn't want them to think that everything is just given, it's automatic, you know, and going to with the other folk that you're going to be better off. You are better because of who you are.
I would also say a part of that smoke and mirror that we spoke on earlier is that we think that this happened 150 years ago.
Oh yeah, not that far.
That's a part of the smoke and mirror.
Yep.
Even the way they depict what's going on in black and white, and they make it seem like it's so far ago, so far, ago. And it's like, you don't understand. I said this off camera. I said, children need to understand who they are, but we also need to understand who you all are. Because the fact that you said you went to an all-black school, and a part of that project that I was going to show y'all earlier, so did I. I did a project in school where I never went to school with white people, ever. And I'm the youngest one in the room. I've never been to school with white people, ever.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Armstrong High School. It was about 99%, 99.5% black, right? Mosby Middle School, 100% black. And in fact, if you were white, we would have done something to you.
Probably.
Because we just didn't even understand. I didn't grow up like that. But you're old enough to be my mom. You know what I mean? And so not even children who understand, our nieces, our nephews, baby girl right here, we don't understand. You got a history lesson at your kitchen table. Where she's literally saying, hey, I couldn't have went to Matoka High School if I wanted to. If my mama had all the money in the world, they wouldn't let me go to a white school.
That's where I went.
And I'm saying you did, but you baby brother, remember? Big sister said she couldn't go.
I didn't.
No, we had a choice. We had a
Oh, you had a choice.
I did have a choice in the 10th grade.
Right, okay.
But I said no.
Yeah.
I'm staying where I am because I appreciate it.
Because you loved it.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the teachers. I mean, no, I'm not gonna say they were all perfect, but what we missed at the other schools, what they were, like for instance, the textbooks. We would get the next edition, the secondhand books, but our teachers made sure what was left out, we had it.
Yeah.
They personally took care of that. And the other thing that was really strong was the Parent Teachers Association. Let me tell you, our parents came together and raised money to make sure the students were that we got everything we needed. Yes.
I think that's a great place to end with that.
Before you do, I want to let you know that Petersburg Public School System gave Matoka our hand-me-down books.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
No, I'm just making that up.
I'm handing them back over there.
But you are saying Petersburg, some of our Chesterfield students went to Peabody because they did not want to come to Carver because it was in the country. That's what I mean by us not working together and respecting one another. That's the portion of our race that bothers me, and the white folks knew it, and they played it against us.
We got another question back here in the back.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot different. I wanted y'all to kind of speak on the community that was lost with integration. Like grandma, grandma cooked at the school. Grandpa was the janitor at the school. They lived a block away. You know what I mean? They was holding everybody accountable like it was their own children. Now we don't want teachers, coaches. We don't want nobody saying to our kids unless it's us. And the kids be dead wrong, but people don't want you to say anything to them. They're gonna come at you as the adult if you correct their child, even though their child was wrong. So just kind of speak on that, how the community was lost.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? So, ironically enough, before I became a full-time barber, I was actually a substitute teacher. Not even full-time. I kid you not, man. I think sometimes it's all about the relatability. Maybe because I was also a part-time barber, so you have that connection with the community. You have to know how to talk to people. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really have a problem with talking to people's parents and holding kids accountable. But go ahead.
I think our generation, I would say if you were born from like 75 to 95, you trash as a parent. Like, don't personalize it, saying like, I don't think I'm trash as a parent, right? But like collectively, and it is because the generation that did come through integration or don't even know anything about what Mama right here is saying, because all they knew was Matoka. You know, all they knew was the privilege that came with going into these spaces. We didn't see that our aunties had to fight for all of these things, that we have all these injustices. So we wanted to give our kids what we thought was better, right? And that including getting a bunch of stuff, having a sense of entitlement, all the things. And then those people had children, right? To Roy's point, and you can't say nothing to my kid, right? And so now I work in schools. Man, parents are bad.
Yeah.
They are real, I'm a truth teller, and I'll pull a parent real quick and say, listen to me.
But after you talk to them, are they receptive?
It depends on what it is. I don't, again, and I've only been in high school 20 years. When you call my mom, I was scared to death.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was scared to death, like, Mom, one, please don't hit me, but also don't hit me in front of these people. But one of these things will happen. You know what I mean? But also it was also that whoever called you was gonna lay you out, right? When I got home, if she told my neighbor and I thought that I was gonna go do something for my neighbor, said, you can't do that for me because you in school, blah 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 blah, right? And it's like, now that does not exist.
But you said family, parents are trash, you said?
Oh, they bad. Like the bottom of the trash can.
Why is that? Because of the breakdown of the family, correct?
Oh, for sure.
That's the real reason behind the whole thing. They don't have a two-parent home situation going on, and sometimes the father don't step up like they're supposed to. And when the father step up,
Or it's removed for the home by the government.
By the system.
by
Yeah,
the-
system.
yeah.
I still think it's about related. And this is me personally. You say you're in the trenches every day, so I'm not trying to challenge you.
Yeah.
But I think that in addition to that, I think it's about relatability and, from my experience, the approach. Because we can say all day, parents are trash, or the administration doesn't back you up, or the kids are whatever. But you can't stop there. I mean, where's the effort and resolve? So I think it's about the way that you try to approach. Like case in point, like I said, I know a lot of people were in my phone, because I used to cut their. This is one of the instances I'm thinking about. The kid was in the class, we were talking cash trash. I'm like, yo man, I know your dad. You don't know my dad? Bro, I know your dad. I grew up with him. I got his phone number in my phone right now. I cut his hair. So I called his dad, put it on speakerphone. Probably should have did it, but I did it anyway. Called his dad, put it on speakerphone. Like, hey yo man, we got a problem in the classroom. No, I'm gonna see when we get home. So it's all about sometime
Having to reach to it.
Yeah.
You get it.
But I think that's what Roy was talking about, that we don't have that sense of community anymore amongst us all. Just like you were saying, Doron, like if you did something outside, I was fearful that it got back to my parents.
Yeah.
And there were people who could correct me and check me on the spot. I would get checked again on the way home, and then when I got home, it was hell to pay. You know what I mean? And like, our youth don't have that sense of, that they don't have that fear of authority that they once did, that we once did. Because the coaches can't tell them anything, the teacher can't tell them anything, the person at the front yard, hey, get off my lawn. those are fighting words. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't have that sense of community that we lost, and that's our fault. You know what I mean? That's completely our fault. Just like you said, parents are trash. Our community has become kind of inside of that pendulum that we need to dig ourselves out of. Yeah. So that was any other questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts from the people? Yay, nay? Auntie, you want to say something?
No, I can.
One more. We got one more for the folks.
Oops.
Be careful.
I can just say that I can see both sides. A little country girl from the Eastern Shore, and yes, I took advantage of that freedom of choice school only because the white school was closer to me. And my 7th grade math teacher kept teasing the class about who's going to the white school next year, and everybody would point at me. And I said, oh, I'm going to a red brick school. Okay, so we went on with that, and we went through the process, and yes, there were some times when it was hard, but at the same time, it took this little country girl to this area now for the last 40 years, and I think I was able to affect the lives of some kids, but I understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a generation of parents who I'm not sure what they're thinking about now, but there are still some that are willing to listen and want the help, because they might even be a single parent, you know, and so they need the help of someone who's willing to look out for them when I'm working 2 jobs. You know? So we just have to understand the different situation. But yes, I agree with what you all said about we have to instill in our children more and more about where their makeup, where they actually came from, and that it's not about possessing a lot of things, but it's more about learning how to live together in community, in our own community, and appreciating one another.
Well said. Well
That's
said.
at Petersburg.
This comment actually came from online where this conversation actually started. It's by Mia Taylor. One thing she wanted to highlight was that we lost community and gained rugged individualism. We lost an older wisdom and lessons within our community. And it's not just culture that has to do with mental health. We lost our talking sessions with our great aunties and uncles. Some of their wisdom, priceless. Some of their wisdom, harmful and unhealthy. Not something that was known then, but known now. Passing down generational trauma and unhealthy practices, but missing love, community, and strength in our core values. I think that's exceptionally well said, and it kind of wraps up everything we've been having in this conversation. A lot of us aren't going to agree with our panelists or some of the people in the audience, but you have an opportunity to get involved in the conversation as well. Go to my page, Julian's page, anybody's page where we're going to have this planned up, and join it. You can comment, you can like, you can share. We're going to have this conversation on many platforms. Get involved. You can't do anything sitting on the sidelines. We want to thank Dr. Doron Battle right here for his expertise and his willingness to come in and speak on a very hard and touchy subject. We want to thank the wisdom of Dr. Gilliam over here, just being staying up past your bedtime and making sure and just imparting that lived experience. We also want to thank Brother Julian Greene for opening up his space and sharing everything he has. Production, Kweli Legacy, Black Folk Food. Y'all know what it is. We appreciate everybody back here. Y'all give a round of applause for yourselves. Yeah. We're good. A little off the top. We'll see you next time.
Our King. I wish you could see what I see when I look at you. Like I wish my image would be the reflection in their morning view. I wish you understood that you are royalty, that I see the gems placed securely on a crown of gold wrapping its way around.